Hi everyone, my name is Hui. I'm the HR Business Partner Manager for Finance in Unilever, and it's with great pleasure that I'm here today with you, being the moderator of the sessions together with Huilyna. You can call her Hui, who is our Global Finance Director, who will be sharing with us on a career in finance for you to get a little bit on insights into finance in Unilever. So just a little bit of ground rules before we begin. Just make sure that if you are online, make sure that you mute yourself. We would love to have your video on so that we can see you or your face and then get a little bit of interaction over there. And then later on, we will have Q&A as well. So if at any point of time you have any questions, you can post it on the Zoom chat, or later on when we turn into the Q&A segment, you can use the raise hand functions and then I'll call you up. So before we begin, let's have a little bit of icebreaker. So just doing a little bit of quick fun quizzes that that's related to Unilever. So let's go to the next slide where we begin on that. So what was the turnover of Unilever in 2019? You can use the reactions button for me to see what do you think about it. Is it, you can use clap for 52 millions, and you can use thumbs up for 52 billion. What's your thoughts? Okay, I see some thumbs up, majority thumbs up. Yeah, you're right. So last year, our turnover was 52 billion globally. So good job for answering it correctly. Next up, the next questions that we have. So just for your understanding as well, just guessing, what's the average years of service of a finance employee at Unilever in Singapore? What's your guess? I see some claps, 2 claps, of 2, 3 thumbs up as well. Oh, it's actually almost 50-50 based on what I see at this point of time. Let's see what other people think. Cool. All right, let me review with you the answer. So the average years of service is actually 8 years in terms of a finance employee currently with us in Unilever. So I know it's actually a little bit towards the longer side, especially with the current states. I know some of you, if you see some of your seniors, maybe they have changed job in 2 to 3 years, but in Unilever, we tend to have a little bit of longer years of service because we have so many different varieties of experiences that we offer. I myself have been with Unilever for 7 years right now. So let's go on to the next questions. Quick one, finance related. Okay, not really finance related. So what do you think is the share price of Unilever right now? You don't have to use Google search. You can like guess, because if you search, you will know the answer. We have quite a few claps, actually mostly claps. So yeah, you guys are right. I don't know if you guess it yourself or you just know it by in. Yes, we are about a little bit more than 50 euros at this point of time. So next up, it's a chat kind of answering mechanism. Just hearing from you. What's your favorite Unilever brand? I mean, there are some brands that you can see on there if you can type in the chat. What's your favorite Unilever brand that you always use, or like you like the brand itself in general? You can use the chat function to answer. I mean, I will type what's my favorite brand. My favorite brand is Sunsilk. We see lots of ice cream, Ben & Jerry's, Magnum, Walls, some Tresemme. Yeah, Tresemme is actually quite a good brand. Lifebuoy and Lux as well, but mainly dominated by ice cream brands. I guess everyone just loves ice cream in general. So next up is our final questions before we get the session started. All right, which one do you think is the largest division in Unilever? Is it beauty and personal care, which is on those Tresemme, Lifebuoy, Lux, food and refreshment includes your favorite ice cream, definitely. And we have Knorr as well in the food category. Lipton and is under food and refreshment. Home care as well, if you're not quite sure. Breeze, Persil, Comfort, Sif. Wow, it's very dominating. Everyone says beauty and personal care. Okay, let me give you a clap for everyone. Yes, you're right. That is indeed our biggest portfolio of Unilever right now, given the number of brands that you can think of as well, and the turnover that it generates for Unilever in overall. Great job, everyone. Let's keep the engagement going. But for now, let me just hand over to Huilyna. So Huilyna has been with Unilever for slightly over 20 years. So she has lots of experience working in different countries as well with us. And now she is the finance director for us, holding a global positions. So she will share with us a little bit of insights, wisdom, and again, if at any point of time you have any questions, please drop into the chat. I'll be moderating the Q&A later on. Hui, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Hui. So we share very similar names. So I'm really pleased to take this opportunity to speak to all of you. And thanks for all the interesting question, HY, so that we differentiate ourselves and we don't confuse other people. I call her by her initials. Yeah, I hope you've had lunch and you're not feeling sleepy after all those questions, because I just had my lunch myself. As all of you know, we are all working, I'm still working from home, and I'll be speaking to you, I think, for the first time virtually in this event. So welcome to all the, welcome to this session, and I'm really hoping that I can take you through some of my, I would say, reflection in how I see a career in finance with Unilever, as HY alluded earlier. And if you do have any questions, please type it in, or ask me directly at the end of the presentation. So a little bit about myself. I am a mother of two. These are my 7-year-old and 3-year-old, Kieran and Sienna. They are the reason why I guess I work, and also the reason why I keep them, I keep them at the most utmost important in my life. Of course, they're very active, and as you can see earlier, maybe you could see my son trying to peep in and to see what I'm doing. At the same time, I'm also an outdoor person, just to show you what I do on a weekend and on a daily basis, because I think as what HY mentioned, I've been with Unilever for a long time, yeah, and I think the number of years added together is maybe the same age as all of you on average, but I've enjoyed every bit of it, and I just wanted to share a little bit about my purpose as well, because that's really how I define myself, other than my family, of course. My purpose is to be the human connector in work and life, and I think it showed in the way that I have progressed in a company, how when you have a very fulfilling purpose that can be combined with careers, and that's how, that's why one of the reasons why I've stayed as long as I have been with Unilever, because this is a perfect marriage of, what you want to do in life, but at the same time, it also fulfills you as a person in your career. So I think if you can get those combinations correct, I think you'll have a fulfilling career by itself in that sense. Let's move on. So just in terms of, sorry, if you can go to the next slide. So what I will take you through is about the understanding of how we work in terms of the function within Unilever, the different business units that we have, the exciting portfolios, not only from a category perspective, but also from a business units perspective, how finance itself is differentiated in terms of roles, and I'll touch upon that in terms of what we do. So we are not just finance in terms of corporate, but we do a lot of there's a lot of other areas that we touch upon across Unilever. And I will talk a little bit later after that about how do I see myself creating impact, business impact, and delivering value with the finance, of course, angle to it. And lastly, I think I'll talk a little bit more about who are we looking for in terms of the future finance key talent that we would like to have, and also who would like to join us. What are those important ones that you need to watch out for? And of course, we will end with Q&A. Yeah. So let's start on the understanding part. So firstly, I think I'm really proud to say that we are a truly diverse team. We are 86 people in Singapore. When I say diverse, it also means that majority is actually local. Singaporeans, 80% in fact is Singaporeans, and a combination of Singaporeans and PRs. But outside that 80%, we do have 10 plus nationalities across the world that is working in Singapore. Because I think we need to recognize that we are a global function, and we play a big role in terms of our roles in Singapore. And I'll talk a little bit more about what I mean by playing a global role. And I think the exposure of having to work with different nationalities, different culture, and different ways of working, it really shaped up the way of how we think and also how we interact with each other. And of course, I'm a very proud, I'm really proud whenever I said this about we are 60% high gender diversity. I think the female representation in finance has always been really high. And I'm truly a true believer that, that women empowerment and the fact that we could have a lot of women in senior position is something that we are always striving towards. Yeah. So I think from that perspective, really good statistics, but more than that, diversity of thoughts is what we are looking for when you come into finance as a function. Now, if you look across the different business units, and I just want to spend a little bit of time on this one, I think it's really important that within finance, the way we split ourselves is that I heard all of you saying that, I guess the biggest category in Unilever is represented here in Singapore. So we have the global beauty and personal care team sitting in Singapore. And that represents quite a big number of our, the function here. And hence finance plays a big role in all these boxes, if you want to call it. We also have a very high growth business called Unilever International, and I'll touch a little bit about that. So it's again is a really high growth business with a strategy of going into $1 billion plus revenue in the next 1 or 2 years. In fact, they're already almost reaching it at the end of this year. We also have a local Singapore office, which is who you would be buying the ice cream from NTUC and cold storage. So they are serving the channels of those the supermarkets in Singapore. So this is where the USPL team is also based in Singapore. And the other function that we do have here is the global procurement functions. Today, this is where my current role sits, but I am currently in transitions. So I can talk a lot about the procurement side because I've been in this function now for the last 3 years. This is where we are responsible globally for contracting and sourcing all our raw and packed and in fact finished goods materials all over the world. So it's a global function. Of course, we have our finance people sitting here, which is the 86 that I mentioned earlier. We also have a cluster MCO, because a lot of that has gone into the markets. And but I think, as you can see there, we have a lot of different business units and functions also sitting in Singapore, such as UniOps, which is really about our operational centers managing insight and analytics team, headed by sitting here in Singapore. The health and well-being team, again, this is a very new area and exciting for Unilever. It's a category that has been really growing, and as part of Unilever's ambition to to be, to be part of, in terms of the purpose of having nutritious food. This is an area where, to watch out for. So this is a place whereby we have also have a team sitting in Singapore. We also have what you call a global supply chain team who looks after logistics, contract, warehousing, distribution globally. And last but not least, we have, of course, HR team who is supporting us, which is mostly on the call here, and a home care business, which is, again, a big part of Unilever's category. But, there used to be more people here, but they have now moved to Thailand. But I guess the home care team, some of them are mostly in household care, is still sitting in Singapore. The reason why I wanted to take some time to really go through this is because, as you can see here, the scope and the scope of the role that we have in finance is actually quite big. And easily, I can tell you that I have spent some of my careers in the, in the global and personal care category as the finance director there, before I came into the procurement finance role. I'm today in procurement, which is really, you see that the global procurement finance role, doing commodity risk management, as well as partnering with the portfolio team in terms of buying and sourcing raw materials in the most efficient way. I'm now in transition to be the controllers of Unilever International, which is, again, another high growth function, which you can see there at the top box. And I think the list goes on and on. So I think from a career perspective, we do have a wide variety of finance roles supporting this function. And what do I mean by finance function? So if you go into the next slide, this really shows the way we split ourselves within finance in terms of the three areas whereby we believe where finance can add value. I don't know why the slide is not moving, but anyway, if you can move to the next slide, please. Yeah. So the breadth and depth of experience. So first is about the business units and who we serve as a partner. But in terms of the three finance pillars that I wanted to talk to you about, is really about there are business partnering and performance management. What I mean by that is about strategic partnering in terms of all the functions that I showed earlier, in terms of all the different business units, and ensuring that we not only perform well in terms of our achievement, but also working with each of the team to deliver value. So I think value creation is a huge element of business partnering. And within that, we have the finance business partners who will drive and work with each of these functions and business units. And we also have what we call the finance excellence teams, which is really about process excellence and working on each of these finance business partners and also the business to ensure that we run the most efficient and effective process. So they're really about ensuring that we have the machine to run all the data, all the processes, and all the required information that is needed to make decision. Yeah, so I think a lot of that is sitting under the business partnering and performance management. We also have what you call the finance controlling area, whereby I'm now, as I mentioned before, I'm taking on a new role as a controller. This is where the financial controlling is about reporting accurately, the financial and management reporting. We have a tax audit as well function within that financial controlling area. We are also responsible for risk and control in terms of management to ensure that we have a sound base for Unilever to operate. Is a lot to do with external in reporting as well in terms of statutory. So this is an area whereby I'm sure a lot of you will be quite close to it, because it is a very much accounting type roles that exist here. But in saying that, we also do a lot of work with the business units to ensure that from a risk management perspective, we do have key controls in place to mitigate any potential risks that might come to that business. So there's a lot of different variety of roles within financial controlling as well. So not to say that this is just a typical accounting or accountant role. And then below, you'll see that there is an expertise area. So tax is considered expertise, treasury. This is two functions where we've been called out as whereby Unilever has wanted a expertise team. So a lot of teams that are belonging the expertise team have specific skills that they've acquired or experienced in these two areas, in tax and treasury. We also have a corporate audit function, whereby this is what you call an internal assurance team who comes and it's made out of different people or finance teams and also marketing or business units team that that require them to to go around the world, now virtually of course, but before that it's more like an assignment for 2 or 3 years whereby they get a really good experience in a corporate audit function of Unilever, working with different business units to understand how is their financial risk and control elements, and whether or not they are aligned or compliant with Unilever's standards and policies. Yeah, so I think it's a very, very good assignment and stint for anyone in Unilever to be part of this, but it's not a long-term role. It's mostly to do with 2 or 3 years assignment because it is a lot of travel. And last but not least, we also offers a lot of roles and experience in terms of ETS. This is our it's about a service. It's a lot of this is about outsourcing and project management, because we have a shared service centers in India. There's a lot of career path within ETS. It's not necessarily, there's also finance people that are working in the ETS function. But of course, there's a lot of specific expertise that you're going to have to build in the ETS area in terms of insight and analytics to drive globally, so that they can support the functions, not only finance, but supply chain, procurement, as well as many different areas in Unilever. So again, it's a very, very, it offers quite a number of depth and breadth of experience across ETS. Now, what I would like to focus on now is really about, now that you got a bit of an understanding of what what the business units are, and also what the kind of different roles in Unilever in terms of finance, I would like to take you through a day in life in Unilever, yeah, and finance. So as you can see here, there's a very nice picture of people dressing up, or lots of clothes on the tables. There's also, our meeting rooms, which is, we go to work. And then, in the past, we used to just come home and, and relax, because these are all things that we used to do before COVID hit us. And so now, if you move on to the next slide, I just wanted to call out that the reason why I wanted to take you through some of this is that, and you'll see a black swan here, the COVID-19 virus actually put a very different perspective about what finance should do and how finance should deliver value in terms of in the midst of crisis. Yeah, I think COVID-19, I called it a black swan event, and many of you probably recall why it's called black swan, because of the unpredictable event that has hit us, in a century. I think it's a disruption that will be felt in many of our generations to come. And it's also hit us as a business, but also it hits us as a finance function, because the way we do things that we used to do things, as you could see earlier, going to work, dressing up, coming home as a home separately, it's all turned upside down with this event. And I just want to share with you what my life was just after the circuit breaker was announced. If you can move on to the next slide. So this was exactly what happened at home when it hit us, yeah, when COVID hit us. And of course, no children were harmed in the picture of this. This was just illustration only. But it really made me reflect as a mother, as a finance professional, but also as somebody who really is very used to the way of working before. How do we then cope in the new scenario and the new normal that all of us are facing? I'm sure all of you would also have faced the same thing, whereby you face, before COVID, you'll be going to the university, you'll be connecting with different friends or teams physically. But now all of that have been fully replaced with virtual events or virtual connection. And it's actually as hard as it is for business as well. And I think I just would like to take you through what kept us going during this post-COVID-19 in terms of the finance team, but also in terms of the business. There are 4 key areas, and I think really these are the 4 key differentiations between how we should survive of COVID-19, how we come out stronger from this event. And I just would like to take you through one by one in a bit more detail in terms of, what we mean by purpose-driven culture. What do we mean by having agility? And really about people and development, about health and well-being and lifelong learning that we instill within Unilever Finance. I would like to share with you in the next subsequent few minutes. I think the first one is about purpose. I've never been, of course, I've never seen on the other side of the outside the company, but I'm always a firm believer of when you are clear of your purpose and when a company is clear about the purpose, I think the company will stand out in the midst of crisis. And I think that's exactly why Unilever come out not only stronger due to its purpose-driven culture. And I think I mentioned that in the beginning of the presentation, that when you have this purpose married to your work and life, it makes the why of why you live, why you're working, even it comes out really stronger when you are really driven by this purpose. It's your compass. So if you move to the next slide, how has Unilever committed in terms of its purposeful leadership in terms of companies? We are leading not only with transparency and empathy, but we align all our actions with this purpose that we have committed to our society. You would have seen, in your NDP pack. If you haven't, I don't know whether most of you gotten an NDP pack during the parade. But inside that, there are 2 Lifebuoy bottles, and all of them are courtesy of Lifebuoy, of course. And the reason why we wanted to really play a really big role in terms of being responsible and also making sure that we are looking after our communities and our people is really driven by this purpose-driven culture and purposeful leadership, starting from our CEO, Alan, and going down to the grassroots level. As you can see here, we're distributing a lot of our products to the people in need. We are distributing masks. And you know what, you might be surprised, but before COVID, we don't have sanitizers. Yeah, we don't even, as a company, we do have it, but not in the variety and forms that we have today. So that is really what keeps us going. And then the second thing that I just wanted to talk to you is about this project Bat Box, which is really again a testament of how we have played our role in terms of fulfilling our purpose, working with the Singapore government in terms of launching all these new, what you call SKUs, is new products. We work towards launching this in 15 days, bringing different varieties of products. As you can see here, we used to have only one or very, very minor product in the sanitizing area. And we now have about almost 100 million of hygiene business, which is coming out of Singapore. And we are really proud to be part of that journey. The way finance played a role in terms of ensuring that we have the right sourcing unit, we have the right profitability, we support the business in launching these SKUs, is tremendous. Yeah, and I don't think I could have been much more proud than this when I said we are really making an impact, not only through this project Bat Box, but also from just the way finance delivered and help the business to deliver new SKUs that will make a difference and make an impact in people's life during this crisis. And I think the second area that I just would like to touch upon is agility. So if you go to the next slide. Yeah. So agility is about making sure that we are ready not only for crisis, but how do we respond to a crisis is what I really think agility brings. Agility is about the way I see it is that in the current role that I was doing procurement, we have to build quite a lot of business continuity and scenario, including modeling and tools to support the business in terms of decision making. Because a lot of the scenarios that we have at that point in time during COVID is definitely not even thought of, yeah? And we are talking about ranges and percentages instead of the right number and accuracy. So we're looking at scenarios of, like delayed recovery. We look at prolonged contractions. Finance play a huge role in building, not only building the model, but, relaying those communication and clarity of those scenarios and modeling and tools to the relevant global function and business units. We also help to set up what you call an enterprise command center for COVID-19 crisis, whereby we put together a team, including finance team, to look at data, because the information we need for crisis management is completely different to the day-to-day information management. We have to always have daily updates on our sales and our products, which are selling well, which are not selling well. I think ice cream was one of those things where we have eaten a lot more at home, and therefore I think I've gained about 2 or 3 kilos since I first started working from home. But people are not working, working and going out too much during COVID-19. This is where we needed to really reflex our muscles and kind of make sure that all the information that we are giving to the business is the right one. And this is why the command center and having a centralized unit to provide those information is crucial, because everything needs to be consistently provided on a daily basis. And the third thing that where we also, I'm really proud that where finance has made a really big impact is about the cash collection and how we mitigate a lot of the credit risk during this crisis. You have heard about cash is king. Cash is king is really true. I've seen it myself during this crisis, whereby the way we manage our working capital, and I got a picture here, cash is king, really is true. It's really the way we manage our working capital management. What I mean by that is looking at all our customers, and I have a picture later is about, after this slide is about, how we do our weekly cash management with the business, really looking at all our, sorry, the next one after the cash is king. Yeah. And then about how we look at the detailed review between UAPL, UAPL is a company that we have in Singapore, about how do we work together with the CD operation teams in terms of customers, planning payments, and ensuring that we are keeping cash not only into our pocket quicker, but ensuring that we have no fresh overdues, and evaluating credit risks for all our customers during the crisis. As you know, a lot of businesses closed down and they have very bad liquidity management during this time. Yeah, so I think giving that clarity to the business is hugely important. And last but not least, I think it's about closing the books. As you would have known, in finance and controlling space, we have to really close the books virtually. This is the first time globally as well that, like, we do this unicorn virtually this year. We are closing the books every month now, but on a virtual basis, because none of us are allowed back to work. Yeah, and I think given the wonderful technology that we have, we are able to do that. There's always a first time, every time you hear first time closing book, first time doing this. And I do believe that this crisis actually brought financing even closer and stronger together in the way we're delivering value and impact. So if you move on to the next slide, I think just the last few minutes, I just would like to maybe touch upon health and well-being and the people, because I think what I just mentioned earlier is about the what of what we do. I think the how is equally important. I myself feel that my health and well-being was being affected quite significantly after COVID, and I'm very mindful that all our teams, even my team, is finding it hard to keep healthy physically and mentally. And how do we keep that connection when you're not together physically. It's easier when you have a problem, you go to someone and you can just say, you know what, I need some help. But in a virtual context environment, it's all online and, you know, like on the phone or on emails, and it makes, you know, people who are so used to having social interactions are finding it difficult to adjust. Yeah. So very, very mindful about how we can remain close and connected despite working remotely. And how do we maintain our well-being? These are the top two things that we did in Unilever. So I think I just wanted to share a few things just to show you in terms of how we keep ourselves healthy. So if you go to the next slide, I think the way we are really going to operate is really about role modeling and inclusion. Really about being, you know, taking the lead in really showing the team that, you know, we can all do this. Role modeling is really important. Making sure that your team and you yourself as a leader set the standard in terms of your priorities, in terms of well-being commitments. We also empower each of our teams to take ownership of their time. It doesn't matter where you work now. I think COVID-19 has proven that offices are just a place to work. You can work from the beach, you can work from Starbucks if you want to, but, you know, I think it just, as long as you get the things done, I think we empower people to just ensure that an individual well-being is really met. Yeah, if so, you want to start in the morning, you want to finish up early, as long as you're delivering value and delivering the impact, it doesn't matter what from a 9-to-5 job perspective. That to me is traditional old mindset. And the last thing is about bolstered collaboration and communication. I think it's really important that we really communicate and have virtual engagements to really focus on recognition and also people during this tough time, and making sure that we always stay connected through this communication. So I just wanted to show a few graphs in terms of what we've done during this time. I mean, we try to make it a bit more fun as well. So if you go into the next slide, please. So we had a global finance meeting. So as you can see, these are attended by people all over the world. You know, this happened about a week ago. You would see people from India, UK, America. It was such a big event, but it's really an eye opener because it doesn't matter where you are, you can still stay connected. The next one is about I just want to share with you also the global virtual party that we had with our OC hubs and also with our ETS colleagues. ETS is the UniOps team, which are located in Manila, India, and different parts of the world, just to celebrate our closing of this, you know, of the successful closing and good results for half two. Many smiling faces. And lastly is on the virtual country visit. You know, previously we had always have senior leaders coming to Singapore on a plane, but this time around is actually a virtual country visit. Yeah, and we had really good engagement from senior leaders in terms of the recent engagement we had from our head of accounting, Lizanne. You know, like where she visited virtually the different business units that I showed you earlier. It was a very successful one, and, you know, lots of engagement and excitement during this two-day event. So we still can have fun during COVID. And last but not least, I think I just want to call out something in terms of the how as well. I think one thing that we all need to take time and reflect upon during this crisis is about what are the new skills do we want to learn. And I think this is a culture of lifelong learning, which is what Unilever brings, not only finance, but I think in terms of development, we do have a really good learning culture and materials and lots of support given. And I don't know whether you know this, but the learning time, you know, that we have spent so far compared to pre-COVID has actually increased so significantly. And this is really a result of people just spending more time at home as well, and people having the space to learn, yeah, to learn rather than, you know, spending their time on a transport going from one place to another. So just to also share very quickly next about how how fast things have changed in a really fast moving world. And that's why the learning culture is important. You could see Netflix is now your new best friend. I've never watched Netflix in the last maybe 3 years since I had my kids, but I've become a Netflix binger for the last 2 months. You know, I've watched, I think, many different Korean dramas and episodes just alone. You know, like look at the number of hours we spent in front of our TVs. WhatsApp messages, I mean, 59 million sent this year alone compared to 3 years ago, where it's only like, you know, we are still sending text messages. The channels at which we communicate in this fast moving world is constantly changing. So I think without this attitude of learning, and I just want to share a very nice kind of like word in the next slide about how you should always make sure that you keep ahead to, you know, of the curve, and really the future belongs to those who really learn, who are not only willing to learn more skills, but also combine them in a very creative way. And we are always looking at lifelong learners when we recruit our talent, and we always give the opportunity for them to learn new things in Unilever. Yeah. So I think that is really about how the day life in Unilever Finance is. And I just would like to close before we go into Q&A about who are we really looking for in terms of those of you who are interested to join our company. We are really looking at somebody who is adaptable, because as you can see earlier, there is no structured boxes ticking, and in terms of, you know, making sure that you know, people are just ticking the box and doing the 9-to-5 job. Yeah. So I think if you're adaptable and you're always flexible in terms of ready to move in crisis, I think this is something that you're going to be enjoying in terms of a career in Unilever. Those who like complexity, what I mean by that is that, of course, no one likes complexity in that sense, but the ability to manage complexity. Unilever is a very complex areas. We have different business units, we have different functions. It's not easy. People think that Unilever might be only selling shampoos, but actually we sell many different things and portfolio across many different customers, many different channels. So we are looking for somebody who really loves complexity and able to manage that complexity as well. Yeah. And last but not least, we're always looking for somebody who has not only displayed strong leadership, but interpersonal skills, because I think at the end of the day, you can have all the you know, all the technical skills that that you can learn from university or from any website, but in the current day and age, this is going to be the differentiator between those who have a very fulfilling career in Unilever and those who really can thrive in the current ways of working in the new normal. Yeah, so we're always looking for somebody who can shape up to be a really good leader for the future. Okay, so I think that's what I have from a content perspective. So I will now hand back to HY for Q&A.
Thanks, Hui, for your very insightful sharing, covering really multiple magnitude of like within finance, understanding the scope, and then what happens right now, given where we are at the moment. So we have a few questions in the Zoom chat, but at the same time, I would also wanted to encourage anyone on the call, if you want to like share your question verbally and interact with Hui directly, please use the raise hand functions, and then I'll call upon your name, and so you can ask personally. So maybe let's get started with the first few questions. There is the questions about like generic goals for Unilever Finance. It starts off with actually congratulations on your new role, and then asking about what goals do you have for Unilever Finance. I think you can say either in your new kind of portfolio, or like generically, where do you think Unilever Finance is going head towards?
Yeah, I think Unilever Finance is, I think from a goal perspective, my current goal is a couple of things. What in my new role, I think I do want to ensure that as a newly appointed financial controller of the business, who is growing very fast, by the way, we do have you know, a really good firstly, I think team in terms of people and culture that really can support the growth. Yeah, so I think having a good team culture, having a really robust process and control in place in terms of supporting the growth is something that I really want to achieve in my current role, because I think for a big growing business such as where I'm going into Unilever International, it's really important that we have a sounding base. And in order to support that, of course, we need a very high performing team. And how do we get high performing team is through having good culture, making sure that people are thriving in their not only what they do, but also enjoying what they do, and also making sure that their well-being is taken care of. I think first is about the people that we have, in making sure that they are really enjoying and also looking at their development in Unilever. Second is about having a good control and risk and sounding base for the business to grow, because it's like having a good foundation of the house. There's no point building a house if you don't have a good foundation. Yeah, so that is number two. And third is about ensuring that we continue to have built our reputation as a reputable company in terms of our statutory and external commitments and reporting. I think that to me is that these are the three key objectives that I have in my new role.
Thanks, Hui. The next question is, what is the one thing that you wish you would have known before you start out your career at Unilever?
Well, I would have loved to know that I would have I would be here for the next 20 years in advance, because at least I could plan better. But honestly, I started in Unilever Australia, when I first started as a fresh graduate, and I still remembered my first interview with Unilever. I had to do a lot of research about what Unilever does, and what struck me is the different portfolio and categories that we operate in. Yeah? That really pulled me into the company. And so I think when I got the opportunity to embark upon a role in Singapore, that was about 10 years ago now. Nobody told me that it's going to be for the next 10 years. And it was meant to be 9 months, to be very honest with you. And that's the beauty of Unilever, you see. It always opens a door whenever you always have, of course, you have to perform in the role, and you always have to do well, and you need to really work hard to achieve it. But one thing that I really wanted to assure is that the door is always open for those who, there's always another door waiting for you, and there's always many opportunities that is really that you can choose from. And that's something that I didn't learn before. But I think going backwards, I think, if I'd known that I'll be here for the next 20 years or with the company for the next 20 years, then it would have helped me to plan my my life a little bit differently. But other than that, I'm very grateful to be part of this company, to be honest. Yeah. So there's
Thanks, Hui.
I wouldn't want to know earlier in that sense.
Okay.
Everything happens for a reason. Yeah.
Yep. And then a little bit related, but maybe not so related as well, depending on how you look at the question. So there's a questions about, what are the key attributes you see constantly being displayed in successful finance leader?
Yeah, I think look, we always remember leaders from not the what. I don't remember having to admire somebody who is good at Excel. I don't remember a leader that is always good at accounting. I always remember leaders from their vision, from their passion, from the way they take care of their people. Yeah, and these are the common traits I've seen as good leaders. Leaders who are really leading with a lot of empathy and humility is really somebody that you really want to work for, and somebody who is also visionary and able to take you to a place whereby and stretch you to your full potential. Again, these are very important leadership qualities that, before they know it, before we knew it that we can do something, they already know that we have the potential. I think it's about planting the seeds and ensuring that, you know, you grow, I think is really somebody that, in terms of a good, you know, what I would call somebody that has a good leadership traits. Yeah.
Thanks, Hui. There are like some other questions as well. What kind of advice would you give to those who would like potentially start working in Unilever Finance as a fresh graduate, like I would assume, or as an intern coming to join us?
Please join us today. Nothing is stopping you. So I think look, as I mentioned before, we're looking for people who are adaptable, who is really game to be given, and game to do think different things. Yeah, so there is no one set of rules, one set of structure. In fact, we're looking more and more in terms of agile resources, and you know, being flexible in different different areas. So I think if you are really somebody who likes who likes to do different things and not afraid of complexity, as I mentioned before, you know, come and join us. There's nothing, no need to wait. We are always open for internship and training, and we are really committed to giving you real projects, not just Excel number crunching stuff, but actually real business problems to resolve, you know, because we are all we all see people who come to train with us as future leaders of this country, and not only the company. So we really want to give you real business problems, so that you can then come back with either not as proposed solutions, but also things which you can also expand your creativity and strategic thinking beyond your operational day-to-day job. So yeah, we welcome anyone who is interested to work for us. Yeah. And
yep. Cool. Maybe last two questions. One is about the most interesting project that you have worked on in finance.
Oh my goodness. What will be the most interesting? To me, the most memorable, to be honest with you, is during this COVID management, as I shared before. I think it is something that all of us in Unilever has not even seen in our lifetime. So I think the one memorable thing that I really worked on was on volatility management. And I think I shared a little bit about COVID, the crisis management that we set up in terms of centralized team, ensuring data from different parts of the business are put together. We have daily, weekly stand-up meetings on COVID crisis, because, you know, I mean, it's remarkable that we are able to supply goods and services to our people and consumers without any major disruptions during this lockdown period. And I think, to me, is kudos not only to finance, but I think the way we just don't look at each other as finance, supply chain, HR. I think it's just the way we work together as one team. And we have this, I remembered, when it all hit us, we kind of throw everything out of the window and said, you know what, this SOP and procedures don't work anymore, because there's no such thing as how do you manage a COVID-19 crisis, in an operating book. There's no such thing. There's no standard procedures. We all came together, we got together, we put together a squad, a 4G, it's a bit like a COVID crisis squad. We work together as one team. It doesn't matter whether you're finance, supply chain, marketing. With one goal, we have one common goal, which is really to serve the purpose that we told you about, really to serve the needs of the people during this crisis and to protect our people and livelihoods. And to me, that's really inspiring. So that's really one memorable thing that really kept me going as well, because without those moments like that, you think, work is just work, but those memorable events really make us, make me at least personally stronger, yeah, and really make me committed to this company even more.
Cool. And actually that segue to the last question. So this is a question from Benjamin Yo. He's a little bit shy. He's curious in terms of what made you stay in Unilever all this year, and what's your plan for the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I do feel like a dinosaur sometimes, you know, talking to or a lot of the young millennials and zagnils. I don't know what it's called now, but even my son asks me every day, you know, Mommy, why are you, you know, with the company for so long, you know? And you know what, I always said, I think what drives you to be in a company really has to come from what you do every day. And the day that I stop enjoying my work in Unilever is the day that maybe I will not be with Unilever. There hasn't been a day, a single day in Unilever where I wake up and said to myself, you know, I don't feel like working. And to be honest with you, that's the honest truth. And that has been keeping me going for the last 20 years, is back to my purpose, you know. The moment my purpose is served, which is really about being the human connector in work and life, and if I can do that continuously in my current role, you know, that will keep me going for the next 5 to 10 years, answering your question. And that's what has kept me going for the last 20 years. So maybe in 5 years' time, things will change and my family will change. But you know what? You know, my blood is almost blue. They always call it that way because we have a joke between all the long-running employees of Unilever. Our blood is actually almost blue because the Unilever logo is blue in a way. So yeah, let's see what I'm going to do in the next 5-10 years. You'll be the first one to know, Benjamin, if I get to know in 5 years.
Great, thank you, Hui. I think that's all the questions for you. I just wanted to address one of the questions that someone asked about international students in terms of competitiveness, etc. So just wanted to emphasize that from a selection process perspective, we wanted to make sure that it's fair for everyone. There's no particular discriminations, etc. So please feel free to apply if you're currently studying in Singapore. In general, I mean, I myself was an international student and I got into Unilever. So what we're looking for is you as an individual, what's the potentials, what's the caliber that you're bringing into Unilever, and like those GPAs, your majors, and the other identity or demographic that defines you is not something that would play a role in terms of the selection process. Hope that answers you. And with that, I just wanted to thank you very much, Hui, for spending your time with us, sharing your experiences and giving us insights into a glimpse into Unilever finance in general. So just noting from a side chat perspective, please make sure that you fill out the survey form in terms of how you feel about sessions to redeem your Ben & Jerry's vouchers. Our next activity under Unicorn will be a Ask Me Anything sessions with our youth faces who was ex-interns with us. So you can ask a little bit more about like internship experience as a finance intern in Unilever in general as well. So with that, we'll end our session today. Thanks again, Hui, and thanks again to everyone who have participated in today's sessions. We hope to see you around either in our next sessions or on the Unicorn chat. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everybody.